Hi, this is the exam revision video for Cutting Edge Elementary Unit 4. In this unit, you studied present simple positive and negative with he, she and it, and you also studied the questions and short answers for he, she, it in the present simple. The vocabulary was activities and phrases for time and frequency. Now, like the other videos I make, this is about 10 minutes long, and the idea is that you watch it to help you remember what you studied with your teacher. You might have missed those classes as well, or it might be a long time ago, so you forget certain things. Watch the video to remind you, and then you can practice before your exam. For activities, we had 10 in the book that you should remember the meaning and the spelling. Let's look at groups at a time. So let's look at these 4. We have cooking, cycling, dancing, going for walks. So nice and easy to understand using the pictures, but the problem with spelling is the letter C. Here we have C, cooking. Here we have C, cycling. So we have a S and a K sound with the same letter. And dancing is a S sound as well for C. So be careful with the letter C. 4 more. Playing computer games, reading, spending time on the internet, spending time with friends. The difficult one here is spelling computer games. Try to learn how to spell this. And then the last 2, swimming, watching sport. A little difficult to spell. Swimming has double M, and watching sport. So it's TCH for watching sport. Okay, so here are the 10 activities you should learn to spell and the meaning of. Now let's look at present simple, positive and negative for he, she, it. So in the last unit, you did present simple for I, you, we, and they, but this is he, she, and it, and it's a little different. So here we have 3 people. The man in green is talking to the other man in the tie about his friend Sarah. This is my friend Sarah. So he's talking about her, she. So it's a third person. Now he says she lives in Dubai. She drives a nice car. It has a big engine, the car. Now, we know that we use the present simple for things that are true and habits and routines. The problem is with the way we use the verb. So if you look at this, I live in Dubai. Live is the verb. But here, for Sarah, we have she lives in Dubai. So when we use the verb for he, she, or it, we add an S. I live in Dubai, she lives in Dubai. That's it. That's the present simple. We add an S. It's very easy. The problem comes with spelling. Now listen carefully to these rules. For most verbs, we just add an S. She lives in Dubai, Sarah wants a drink. For verbs that end with Y, like fly, cry, copy, we take away the Y and add IES. Example, Etihad flies to China. My son cries a lot. And I put the third example to show that if the verb is vowel then Y, so play or buy as an example, you don't take away the Y. He plays football. So it's only when it's consonant to Y, like these verbs. For verbs that end in CH, SH, S, X or Z, these are ch sounds, splashy sounds, we add ES. She watches TV. He washes the car. Ahmed misses you. So we add ES, because you can't just put like, look at this miss. You can't have 3 S's to say this. For do and go, we also add ES. My teacher does a lot of work. She goes home after class. And then the example that I put in for Sarah's car, have becomes has. It's not haves, it's she has a nice car. It has a big engine. So for the third person of have, it's has. Okay, so these are all the spelling rules. You have to try and get used to them as you're writing in English. Then we have the negative. I live in Dubai. I don't live in Dubai. You studied this in the last unit. But for he, she, it, it's he doesn't live in Dubai. So notice the difference. We don't have S on the verb. She lives in Dubai. She doesn't live in Dubai. The S is here in the does. Okay? Quick thing for pronunciation. This word, D-O-U-S-N'-T, we say like this. Doesn't. Doesn't. And then in the book, it's a bit different to positive and negative, but they talked about the verb like, and also you can use hate or love the same way. For the verb like, we can use a noun, or we can use ing after the verb. So for example, I like football, he likes football, it's a noun. But we can also say, I like playing football, I don't like watching football. He likes playing football and he doesn't like watching football. So this is just something they put in the unit just to help build your language. With the verb like, you can say ing after it, or hate or love. Okay, so this was positive and negative present simple. It is a lot to understand, there's a lot to know here, but it's important that you learn this at this stage. Now let's look at phrases for time and frequency. So the example I'm going to use is cycling, something I love doing myself. Frequency is the number of times something happens. So for me, I like to go cycling maybe 3 or 4 times in the week. So that's a lot of time. So these are the words we use for frequency. Always, usually, often. Notice we say often, but there's a T here. Sometimes, not often, or never. These all explain how many times something happens. Always is 100% of the time. Usually is a little less than 100%. And then we all go all the way down to never, which is 0. Never, 0% of the time. So this is the order of how we use these adverbs, sorry. Now where do we put the adverb? We put it before the verb. I always go cycling after work. Go is the verb, so always is before. My sister usually goes cycling on Yas Island. My parents never go cycling. So we put it before the verb. For the verb be, so that is different place, we put it after the verb be. So before other verbs, but after be, we put it after. For example, I am sometimes tired after cycling. We aren't often hungry after cycling, I guess. Now let's look at time phrases. There are many time phrases, but they use these 3 words at the start: in, on, or at. So for in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. In the evening, I go cycling with my family. I go cycling on my own in the morning. So we can use it at the start, we can use it at the end. The only difference is this comma. If you use it at the start, you put it a comma after. And remember to use in for the time of the day. On Monday, on Saturday, on weekdays. On Monday, I go cycling on Yas Island. I go cycling at the Corniche on Saturday. So again, we can put it at the start and at the end, and you put a comma after the day at the start. At the weekend, at night. At the weekend, I go cycling for a long time. I never go cycling at night. So again, at the start or at the end. So try to remember these time phrases. For the adverbs of frequency, remember the order, remember the spelling of words like often, and where we put them in the sentence, before the verb or after am, is, are, was, were, like this. Let's go back to the present simple again. We're going to look at questions and short answers for he, she, it. Now in this picture we have 3 people talking about this lady. Here's something they say. Who is that? Does she work in your office? So remember, for positive, she works with an S. For negative, she doesn't work in your office. But for the question, we change the order and we put does at the start. So it becomes, does she work in your office? Does she work in your office? If you remember in the last unit, it was do you or do I work in your office? But for he, she, it, it's does. The S is here. The short answer, yes or no. But we also add, yes, she does. Yes, no, she doesn't. And then the last point was WH questions. If you want to ask something like what, where, when, why, we need to put that word at the start of the question. What does she do at work? Where does she sit in the office? What time does she start work? So it still does before the subject, but then we have the question word to begin. Okay, so that's the end of the present simple. You've learned all these bits now. You need to be using this correctly. So in this unit, we studied all the present simples for he, she, it, and the vocabulary was activities for question time, for activities and phrases for time and frequency. Okay, good luck with your revision.